What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Toronto show. I'm here with the one and only Dave Norona.
Hey guys.
Dave, good to see you.
Hey, yeah, good to see you, buddy.
And we're going to be talking a little bit about backcountry riding. So one of the things for me last year that was kind of new in kind of the 20 years of riding that I've been doing, it's primarily been trail riding. And last year was kind of a new experience.
You're getting off the trail.
I'm getting off the trail.
I love it.
I know it's music to your ears.
Yeah, I like the trail too. I mean, you know, when you look at that XRS MXZ, and I rode that and the launch control and the turbo, hey, I'm not against trail riding, but it's always good to get off the trail into some deep snow.
That's right. And so we're learning, baby steps.
Hey, it's the smart way to do it, and we're going to talk about that today.
Cool. So we're sitting on a backcountry, and that's the sled that I ordered last year was actually a Backcountry X.
X, right. So an X you can only spring order, and then tell everybody what you ordered this year.
All right, we'll break the news, but I ordered a Backcountry XRS, so it's in the Gen 5 this year. I actually just found out it came in last week, so I'm stoked. This will be awesome.
So amazing snowmobile, you're gonna love it. I think one of the best colors, right? Yeah. Very similar to the Free Ride.
Yep.
But now, if you won't go into your dealer, you're not going to be able to purchase an X or an XRS. You're going to get an Adrenaline,
right.
What we have here, or a Sport. And we're also going to compare it to the Summit Edge Adrenaline, and sort of talk a little bit about I think it's cool what you're doing, and you're taking everybody along for the ride. Is coming from 20 years of trail, and now you're stepping off the trail, learning new things. And you know, learning is the spice of life, right? We were all not good at something before, and you know, these days, if you match your ability to the snowmobile and look ahead at what you want to do, you're going to have way more fun, and you're going to get better faster than if you just try to get on something that is too much for you or not good enough for you to do the things you want to do. So I think it's cool that you're getting that XRS. I think you're going to love that snowmobile. But it starts off here at the Backcountry Adrenaline, and when we talk about the backcountry, what it was made for is literally for people who do more trails than they get off the backcountry. But we saw people buying Summits to go in the backcountry, and then it wasn't good enough for their trail ride. They were getting left behind. Yeah. So this is a happy medium of both, and I will be honest, every year it gets a little more summitized, as we say. So you know, the addiction continues, right? You go a little bit off trail, and then the next year you go further off trail, and suddenly you're traveling out west and you're in the mountains. But when you live out here, you want to do both. So why not have a snowmobile that can do both?
Do it all.
And it starts here at the Sport and what we have right here in the Adrenaline. And so some of the features that are improved upon, I mean, just look at this. This is in a 600 right here, but it also can be had in an 850 E-Tech. And in the X, or this, if you spring ordered one or an XRS, it only comes in the 850. So we said, hey, the people that are going to go on the higher premium are also going to want more engine, faster, for deeper snow and faster trail conditions.
Yeah.
And the backcountry is for the people who know it and purchase it, and they purchase it right for their uses. They love it. You love your X, I think, right now.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, and so that across the board, that's what we get. Where we get people that might question certain parts of it is when they bought it either because they like doing more trail, or they do more backcountry, and they should have gone to a Summit. So, but if, like I said, if you match your ability and realistically to any one of the snowmobiles in the Skidoo lineup, you'll have more fun. And so that tells me you're having more fun because you've matched it perfectly, and then you're going to the next level.
Yeah.
And so all we do is get a few more features as we move into the X and the XRS, but we're going to talk about the Adrenaline that also comes with lots of great features, right? So now we have C-Motion X. So kind of like what we did in the Summits is we've moved the rear arm, and everything's gotten a little bit longer in the back, so it actually will be better through bumps on the trail, and it actually will be more fun in the powder. And it just rides better. And you have the rigid track on this, and this thing just works. It works both ways. You know, the problem with Summits is they really work well in the powder, and they work so good and they go so fast that when you come into your first corner on a trail, you're going to be unpleasantly surprised that it does not turn like a backcountry does, or an XRS. Let's use that as an example. But everything from that, and just a sort of a little bit bigger, softer seat, again, so it's better for trail, but still really narrowed it up so when you get off the trail, you're going to be able to react with that. Really good boards that are cut out. They're not the full cheese grater that the X model on a Summit has, but these boards are awesome. And when we look over at the Adrenaline Edge, very similar boards. So again, it gives you a great platform for on the trail. It gives you toe holds so that when you're on the trail, you have all those features. When you get off trail, you don't use these unless you need them, and it still has great clearing capabilities when you get into the powder and the off snow, deep snow.
That's great. I actually never noticed how much space there is in between on the boards.
Yeah.
So obviously you're not going to have the snow buildup like you would typically get on a trail sled.
That's right. So on a trail sled, if you went in powder, you'd be kicking it all day. And frankly, on all the older model sleds, we used to kick all day. Now, as long as you just brush once in a while, the boards are clear. Gone. And just don't let them build up. It's really, really amazing. Yep. And then of course with this, because you're on the trail, it comes with a little more wind deflection, right? So still being a lower windshield, lower things out of the way, but still when you're on the trail, hand guards, it just protects your body for that cold air on the trail. But when you get it off trail, there's nothing really hindering you and holding you back like a giant windshield or things that are in place that don't allow you to move around the snowmobile. And I think they've really done a great job on this. This sled, it just looks awesome. It does. And super powerful and wider stance again. So it's what we call 39 centered. So it'd be 38 or 40, and that way you get good stability on the trail. But anybody who goes off trail, you can learn. Now we're down to 34 on a Summit. So when you ride 34, going back to 38, 39 or 40 is a big jump. But for somebody coming from the other end and being more a trail person, they're going to love that once they get it off trail, that actually it's really quite nimble. And one thing I would invest on if I got one of these backcountries is the little clip that you can clip up and adjust your skis on the fly. So right now, if they're running centered, if I wanted to move it into the narrow position, I just remove the bolt and remove the spacer on both of them on the outside, and that would move the ski in. And what I'm talking about is they make a device that goes in here, and so what you do is you lift this up, and then it actually allows you to move this over, and it moves to the other side, and you can clip it in. You can do it in literally seconds on the side of the trail. So you can have the widest stance at 40 on the trail, and when you go off trail, boom, they're at 38. Awesome. So you get the best of both worlds, and it's a really easy, simple accessory that you can add to it. And and on yours we'll have the new rack steering. Okay. So that comes on the X and the XRS, and rack steering has just made it. Luke explained it to me. The best way to explain it is like driving a car. On a big old Cadillac, you had to turn the steering wheel a long time to get the car to turn. And really what we want on a trail sled or something that's very, you want it to be reactive, you want a short steering, so a little movement does a lot. And so they've done a rack steering here, and what that does is it allows a small movement, makes a big difference. Mm-hmm. So that's good for trail and off trail. And the other thing is a lot of times on those, when you don't have that rack steering, at the end of the steering, you're steering a lot for not a lot of movement. But even on this, at the very end, you get a lot of quick movement.
So this will be more it'll be more precise.
More precise and more reactive, and less having to move your steering to get a reaction out of the snowmobile to do what you want to do. Gotcha. So that's really some of the features that this Backcountry Adrenaline has. And yours has even more as you go to the X, and then the XRS has even more when we talk about the piggyback shocks.
Yes.
So it's better on the trail for the bumps, but also when you get off the trail, it's going to perform better as well.
So here's a big question. So I don't have a ton of experience getting into even like the Summits and the free rides, and I know we're going to take a look at the Summit next, but when does somebody start thinking, okay, now I might be ready for even the next step, right? Which might take them into like this one here, which is
this is a Summit Edge Adrenaline. So this is available at your dealer right now. Okay, and so I think that's the best question that you just said. And so you see it a lot of people out here. Here's the first bit of advice. If you live out here, you're riding trails. I would ride trails too if I lived out here.
For sure.
And then you want to go out west. The best thing you could probably do, rather than trailer your sled out, is to fly out west and go to a resort for 3 or 4 days and ride a summit. And you'll suddenly know what you like to do. So you may I like riding my trail sled at home, and I do that for 2 or 3 months a year. And I do 1 or 2 trips out west, and I'm going to rent when I go out there, because I'm going to rent a mountain sled to do that. But if you go out once and you decide, hey, I really like this, I want to come out here and spend 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, then I'm going to actually purchase a summit. And I might have 2 snowmobiles, or some people go, I'm just going to ride mountains. I live in Ontario, but I drive out or I fly out for a month and I leave a snowmobile out there. That's when we're talking to get into a summit. Okay. So that it's different for everybody. We have people that'll ride these on the trail, because you certainly can, and make sure you have the right scratchers and maybe not a 3-inch is not going to be the best track for that.
Yeah.
So you really have to think what you're going to do, and that's why renting is such a good idea. Even for 2 or 3 times, it can be expensive to rent, but you're going to make a better decision further down the road in purchasing a snowmobile, which is going to save you money.
It's funny too. We talk about that a lot, even with the trail sleds, like the idea of being able to try your buddy's sled, right?
Yeah,
just
totally.
So you can at least get a feeling of what it's like before you make the decision to spend. I mean, we're spending $20,000-$25,000 on a snowmobile these days.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that purchase is 100% accurate.
We all have it in life, whether it's a dishwasher or a snowmobile, right? We all are good at knowing something, and then suddenly you buy a dishwasher, and you're like, I bought the wrong one. Now I got to take. It's the worst thing in the world. So when you buy a snowmobile, it's a big purchase, and it's an important one. And like my job, what I'm keen on is to help people buy the right thing once, rather than something, then you got to buy it again, or you didn't feel you got what you wanted.
Right.
And so renting is really the first step, or trying your buddies is another great thing. And when you're out there in the mountains, rent 3 different summits.
Yeah,
rent a free ride and try them all, different sizes, so you don't go, oh, should I get a 54 or 65? What do I need? What's going to be better for me? You've tried them, so you know.
Right.
So that really, really matters. And when we change into that, we started on the track. I mean, look at the track here, 3-inch track. Great for the mountains, not so great for the trail. So a 2.5 will be fine on the trail for sure. You just have to be smart and run scratchers and be cognizant of what you're doing with the track, and same with a summit on the trail, just being cognizant of not overheating it. It's pretty easy to do if you keep on top of it. Having an accessory snow flap for when you're on the trail, because
we're definitely not used to that.
It works for us in the mountains because we're quick on the trail and then we're off into the mountains. But if you're just riding trail all day, it's not going to be good, or if it gets icy. So making those few little changes, you can definitely run a summit on the trail and then take it out west with you for sure. And lots of people do. And you'll just see, I mean, right from the back, we now have shorter tunnel. Okay, so what that does is, I mean, it makes a huge difference as far as when you get into deep snow, the tunnel isn't touching the snow as much, so that you get less drag. It feels lighter, it's more maneuverable, and it just makes you do what you want to do easier. And then we go right into the seat. You can compare seats.
Yeah.
Smaller seat. We get a lot of guys who ride out here going, wow, this is not comfortable.
Not much there,
and that's why that backcountry is a little bit bigger. It has the comfort, but also has it's cut out for the minimalist like this is. This is really just minimalist, right?
Yeah.
We're using our seat for lunch to sit down, and then when we get into the handlebars, things that you're not getting a windshield, you're not getting handguards. Although you can put handguards. I run handguards. It's an accessory that I firmly believe is great, because when you're going down the trail, even in the mountains, your hands get cold in like Revelstoke, and then that prevents that. It also prevents a lot of snow from loading in over your control, so it's better there. But just the more stand-up geometry of this and the comfort is what you'll see more on a summit. And of course, then down to the 34 front end, right?
Right.
So,
super narrow.
People were wondering, is the 34 front end, are we going too far? But once you ride it, you don't want to ride anything wider, and unless you're going out on the trail, right? So again, that ability to change it is really good. And this is 34 or 36, so you can change it back and forth. Likewise, what we talked about with the Backcountry Adrenaline, and but no windshield. And when you stand on this, if you stand up on it, when you're looking down, you're looking at the spindles. I mean, it's like you really feel like you want to stand up and be over the machine riding it. And I think that's the difference when we talk about the backcountry, is you do it on there, but you're getting both. You're sitting down, trail riding, you're way out to the side on the machine, cornering, getting your knee down. On the mountain sled, you're not doing that.
Right.
So you can be. It is a little bit. A lot of guys will find this very loose at first, and but once you're used to it, it doesn't feel like. To me, it doesn't feel loose at all. But if you come from that, it's going to feel loose.
Sure.
I mean, the one thing we had when we came out with the G4 was guys are like, this is worse on the trail. And I'm like, it's not worse on the trail. It's just that you're doing 120 kilometers an hour, and then you think you're going to turn like you're on an XRS, and you're not.
Right.
So it really is. And now, like, you go like at 100 kilometers an hour, this thing feels stable to me, and which is really amazing for a mountain sled. And part of that is all the work in the T-motion skid and stretching it out a little bit, lengthening that arm. It's better over bumps. It's more playful. Wants to wheelie a little bit more. All those things, and that's why we have limiter strap adjust and things in the models that move up the line, things that you can add to something like an Adrenaline if you feel the need. So the great thing about both these machines is you can buy them at a lower cost in season. You can ride them, and then you can go, oh, I feel my machine is like lifting too much. Hey, have you thought about the limiter strap adjust? You can add that. And then you're only paying for what you really need, right? Which is why we have accessories. And on the in-season models, a lot of times those come with it because the person already knows what they want.
Right.
So I think that's where we live. So wherever you know, as I said many times today, is you really have to do your homework on what you want and where you want to go. Like you seem like you've done tons of trail riding, and now you're getting your feet wet in the trail or on the off trail, and you just want to go further down.
That's right.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You want to get better. You're already good at one thing. You want to get better at the other thing, so it makes you a better all-around rider.
Yeah.
And so your machine has to match that as you move. So
right.
I don't think it'll be long before you either go back to a more trail-oriented sled and have a mountain sled, or you put up with one a little more and a little less of the other.
That's
you move
right.
to a summit and you go, hey, when I'm home, I ride less there, but I can take this out on the trails and have a great time. I'm not looking to like edge every corner and beat my friend out of every corner. When I take it out west is where it really shines.
Right.
Or the backcountry, someone like, hey, I spend 70% of myself on trails, but I do like to get off, and when I get off, I'm okay with it being a little bit wider and a little more because I really spend more time on the trail.
Right.
So if you're honest with that, whatever those numbers are, then you'll find the perfect snowmobile.
And you can kind of figure out, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, I think that's what we've seen is a lot of that innovation and just dialing into like how people want to ride, and Skidoo really just figuring that out with all the different models, and I think that's really what's quite unique, right?
Yeah, sleds are better than ever across the board.
Yeah.
But you have to be, your homework is you have to be more honest with what you do, and then you'll find the right machine. Like we see that all the time with people buying machines that they feel like are the coolest and the gnarliest, and they don't have the best time on them because they chose something that was either beyond them, or they can't do what they really like to do, or where they spend most of their time. And it really is, that's why I, even when I talk about the Summit X and why I ride that, it's the easiest snowmobile to ride, and it's the easiest to tip up.
Yeah.
And I ride every day, so I'm either riding or sled skiing or riding up to go touring almost every day through the winter. And so I want a machine that doesn't tire me out. And I get stronger because I'm riding more, but at the same time, if you're riding every day and it's deep, you want, at the end of the day, it's the longevity that keeps you fresh.
Yeah.
That's going to allow you to improve and get better.
For sure.
And so it really is, when people are like, why do you ride a Summit X, Norona? You could ride a free ride and an expert. And I go, well, I've ridden all those machines. I'm lucky. I've spent time on them. And the Summit X is the one that best match my ability and what I want to do on the snowmobile.
Yeah.
So, I like, don't get me wrong, I love the free ride. I'd love to make my Summit X look like the free ride. But I love that sled, and I've gotten to ride it, but I love my Summit X better.
Cool.
So
I think that's the big takeaway, and we've talked a lot about this for me, though, is we've also been fortunate enough over the years, and we ride Skidoo like crazy. And we've had, we've been fortunate enough to try the different sleds to figure out what is it that we like, what is it that kind of matches our style. I mean, I've been back and forth from 4-stroke to 2-stroke to 4-stroke.
Yeah.
I'm going back again. I'm all over. But we get to at least play around to really figure out what matches our riding styles and our needs, right?
Yeah, we're enthusiasts, so we never get it. We even though we pick up the right stuff, we feel we never get it right, so we always have to buy something new and better. And and that's like what this sport is all about. And it's like, that's what I love about it, is the enthusiasm for snowmobiling, and the snowmobile crowd is like no other. And it just keeps building, and I love it, right? Whether you ride an old machine or a brand new one, doesn't matter. I don't care what you ride, as long as you're riding and having fun.
Yep.
And but when we get into specifics, this is why we do all the engineers and marketing and people. We do all this and talk about doing it to make the experience better. Because if it's better, it's more fun, and you want to do it more.
Awesome, man. Well, appreciate it. That's a really good overview on these two sleds, man. I always enjoy talking to you. I learned so much, honestly, just spending time with you at the show. Hope you guys enjoyed this segment. Definitely make sure that you're getting out there, trying as many sleds as you can, figure out what works best for you, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon when we hit the snow.